The vast chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as the massive doors slid open with a pneumatic hiss. Every eye, tentacle, and sensory organ turned expectantly toward the entrance. The gathered dignitaries from 100 worlds held their breath, waiting to see which esteemed ambassador or fearsome warlord would next stand before the august body. Instead, a small human girl skipped into the room. She couldn't have been more than 7 Earth years old, with pigtails bouncing and sneakers squeaking on the polished floor. The child wore a bright yellow sundress dotted with smiling daisies, completely out of place amidst the somber robes and exoskeletons of the assembled aliens. High Arbiter Zixnatha, the imposing arachnoid leader of the council, leaned forward on her dais. All 8 of her eyes blinked in rapid succession as she struggled to comprehend this unprecedented breach of security. What is the meaning of this? Zixnatha's voice boomed through the chamber, amplified by hidden speakers. How did a human child infiltrate the most secure facility in the galaxy? The girl stopped in the center of the room, craning her neck to take in the towering alien forms looming above her. She seemed utterly unafraid, her round face filled with curiosity rather than terror. "Hi," she chirped, waving enthusiastically. "I'm Mira. Does anyone have a cookie? I'm really hungry." A wave of shocked murmurs rippled through the assembly. In all the millennia of the Galactic Council's existence, no one had ever dared to make such a casual request, let alone a member of a barely spacefaring species like humanity. Ambassador Krell of the militant Vorax Imperium rose to his feet, cybernetic implants gleaming. "This is an outrage," he bellowed. "The humans must answer for this blatant violation of galactic law. Their world should be quarantined immediately." Other voices joined the outcry, a cacophony of alien languages filling the air as factions argued about how to respond to this unprecedented situation. Mira stood in the center of it all, her brow furrowed in confusion at the commotion she had inadvertently caused. High Arbiter Zixnatha raised all 4 of her upper limbs, calling for order. "Silence," she commanded, and the chamber gradually quieted. She turned her penetrating gaze back to the small human. "Child, Mira, you must explain your presence here. How did you breach our defenses?" Mira shrugged, twirling a pigtail around her finger. "I don't know. I was playing hide and seek with my brother in the cornfield, and I found this weird glowy thing. When I touched it, whoosh. I was here." She looked around the room again, her eyes wide with wonder. "Are you guys having a costume party?" Before Zixnatha could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the chamber. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing a massive vessel dropping out of faster-than-light travel directly above the Galactic Council's orbital station. "Unknown ship detected," a disembodied voice announced. Energy readings off the charts. Weapons systems powering up. Panic erupted among the delegates. Some dove for cover, while others rushed for the exits. Mira stood rooted to the spot, her small hands pressed against her ears to block out the deafening claxons. High Arbiter Zixnatha's voice cut through the chaos. "Initiate emergency protocols, raise shields and prepare for possible hostile action." As the Council's defenses sprang to life, a transmission crackled through on all frequencies. A gruff human voice filled the chamber. "This is Admiral Hawthorne of the Earth Ship Terminus. We are tracking an anomalous energy signature that led us to your location. If you are holding a human child captive, be warned, we will take all necessary action to ensure her safe return." Zixnatha's mandibles clicked in agitation. The situation was spiraling out of control faster than she could process. She needed to defuse this powder keg before it ignited an interstellar war. "Admiral Hawthorne," she responded, her tone carefully measured. "This is High Arbiter Zixnatha of the Galactic Council. There has been a misunderstanding. The child Mira is here, unharmed. She seems to have accidentally teleported into our chambers." There was a long pause before the human replied, his voice thick with disbelief. "Teleported? That's impossible. We don't have that kind of technology." Nevertheless, Zixnatha continued, "It appears to be what happened. Perhaps if you joined us, we could discuss this situation more productively. As tense negotiations began for a diplomatic meeting, Mira tugged on Zixnatha's robe. The High Arbiter looked down at the small human, momentarily forgetting the galaxy-shaking crisis unfolding around them. "I'm sorry for causing trouble," Mira said, her lower lip quivering slightly. "I really am hungry, though. Do you have any snacks?" Despite herself, Zixnatha felt her irritation soften. There was something disarming about the child's innocence in the face of such momentous events. With a flick of her limb, she summoned a hovering service drone. "Bring our unexpected guest something suitable for human consumption," she instructed the machine. As it zipped away, Zixnatha turned back to the matter at hand. Somehow, she needed to prevent an interspecies war, unlock the mystery of Mira's impossible journey, and navigate the political fallout of this unprecedented first contact. And apparently, she needed to do it all before snack time. As the service drone returned with a tray of assorted alien delicacies, the massive doors to the council chamber hissed open once more. Admiral Hawthorne strode in, flanked by a pair of stern-faced Earth military officers. His weathered face was set in a grim expression, eyes darting warily around the room before settling on Mira. "Uncle Jack," Mira squealed, abandoning her exploration of the alien snacks to run towards the newcomer. The Admiral's stern demeanor cracked as he knelt to embrace the child. "Thank the stars you're safe, kiddo," he murmured, relief evident in his voice. Standing, he addressed the council with considerably less warmth. "I believe we have some matters to discuss." High Arbiter Zixnatha nodded, her multiple eyes blinking in sequence. "Indeed we do, Admiral. Your niece has caused quite a stir in galactic politics today." "She has a talent for that," Hawthorne replied dryly. "Now, about this teleportation business." Before he could continue, Mira tugged insistently on his sleeve. "Uncle Jack, I made new friends. This nice spider lady gave me snacks. Want to try some?" The assembled aliens watched in fascination as the fearsome human military leader's attention was completely commandeered by a small child. It was a side of humanity they had never witnessed in their limited interactions with the species. Hawthorne sighed, kneeling again to address Mira. "Maybe later, sweetheart. Right now, the grown-ups need to talk about some important things. Why don't you sit over there and enjoy your snacks?" As Mira skipped back to her hover tray of alien cuisine, Zixnatha gestured for the human delegation to approach the central dais. "Perhaps we can begin by explaining the sequence of events that led us to this unique situation." For the next hour, the council chamber buzzed with intense discussion. Theories were proposed and dismissed about the nature of Mira's transvacation. Some suggested unknown alien technology, others posited a natural wormhole phenomenon. Through it all, Mira contentedly munched on her snacks, occasionally offering commentary that left both humans and aliens baffled. "The glowy thing tickled," she announced at one point, interrupting a heated debate about quantum entanglement. It was all sparkly, like Mommy's special occasion earrings. Admiral Hawthorne pinched the bridge of his nose, feeling a headache building. "Mira, honey, can you remember anything else about this glowy thing? What shape was it? Did you hear any strange noises?" Mira scrunched up her face in concentration. "It was kind of round, I think. Oh, and it hummed, like the refrigerator does sometimes, but prettier." This seemingly innocuous description sent the alien scientists into a frenzy of speculation. Terms like harmonics-induced spatial distortion and bioreactive phase shifting were thrown around with increasing excitement. Zixnatha raised her front limbs for silence. "It seems clear that young Mira has inadvertently stumbled upon a technology or natural phenomenon far beyond our current understanding. The implications for galactic travel and commerce are staggering." "Now wait just a minute," Hawthorne interjected. "You're not planning to experiment on my niece, are you? Because I can assure you, Earth will not stand for..." "Uncle Jack." Mira's small voice cut through the tension. All eyes turned to the little girl, who was fidgeting uncomfortably in her seat. "I need to go to the bathroom." The simple request brought the high-level negotiations to a screeching halt. Aliens and humans alike stared at each other, suddenly realizing the practical challenges of hosting a human child aboard a space station designed for a myriad of alien physiologies, none of which were human. Ambassador Krell of the Vorax Imperium, who had been fuming silently since the humans arrived, saw an opportunity. "The station is not equipped to handle the biological needs of humans," he declared smugly. Clearly, the child must be immediately returned to her home planet. But Zixnatha was not so easily swayed. "We cannot risk losing access to the only being who has demonstrated this incredible translocation ability. There must be a solution." As the debate threatened to reignite, an unexpected voice joined the fray. Dr. Axara, a Luminian scientist known for her brilliant but often unconventional ideas, stepped forward. Her bioluminescent skin pulsed with excitement. "If I may," she began, her melodic voice capturing everyone's attention, "I believe I can synthesize a temporary biological adapter that would allow the human child to safely use our facilities. It would buy us time to study this phenomenon without causing undue stress to young Mira." Admiral Hawthorne looked skeptical, and this would be completely safe for her. Dr. Axara's skin flickered in patterns that translated to earnest sincerity. "I assure you, Admiral, I would stake my professional reputation on its safety. The adapter is based on principles we've used in xenobiology research for decades." As the adults debated the merits and risks of the proposed solution, Mira's patience began to wear thin. She tugged on Zixnatha's robe once more, her face a picture of childhood urgency. "I really need to go," she whispered loudly. The High Arbiter found herself in the unusual position of making a unilateral decision based not on complex political calculations, but on the simple needs of a child. "Dr. Axara, proceed with your adapter. Quickly, please." As the Luminian scientist rushed off to her lab, Hawthorne knelt beside Mira. "Just hold on a little longer, kiddo. These nice aliens are going to help you out, okay?" Mira nodded bravely, then cocked her head to the side, studying her uncle's face. "Uncle Jack, why do you look so worried? Is it because of the big surprise?" Hawthorne's brow furrowed. "What big surprise, Mira?" The little girl's eyes widened as she clapped her hands over her mouth. "Oops, I wasn't supposed to say anything. It's a secret." The Admiral's military training kicked in, his mind racing through possible scenarios. What else could Mira know? Was there more to her mysterious appearance than a simple accident? As Dr. Axara returned with her hastily constructed adapter, and Mira was led away to attend to her urgent need, Hawthorne exchanged a loaded glance with Zixnatha. It was clear to both leaders that this innocent trip to the bathroom was just the beginning of a much larger, and potentially universe-altering, adventure. As Mira returned from her adventure in alien plumbing, the atmosphere in the council chamber had shifted. The initial shock of her arrival had given way to a tense curiosity. Admiral Hawthorne stood with his arms crossed, his weathered face etched with concern as he watched his niece skip back to the center of the room. "Mira," he said gently, kneeling down to her level, "you mentioned a big surprise earlier. Can you tell me more about that?" The little girl's eyes widened, and she shook her head vigorously. "Allah, it's a secret. Mommy said I'm not supposed to tell anyone, especially not you, Uncle Jack." Hawthorne's brow furrowed deeper. What could his sister be hiding that was so important? And how did it relate to Mira's impossible journey across the stars? High Arbiter Zixnatha stepped forward, her arachnoid form looming over the pair. "Child," she said, her voice surprisingly soft, "I understand you've been asked to keep a secret, but sometimes secrets can be dangerous. If you know something that might help us understand how you got here, it's very important that you share it." Mira bit her lip, looking torn. Her eyes darted between her uncle and the alien leader. But Mommy said it was to keep everyone safe. She said bad people might try to hurt us if they knew. A ripple of murmurs ran through the assembled aliens. Ambassador Krell's cybernetic eye wared as it focused intently on the child. "This confirms my suspicions," he growled. "The humans have been developing illegal technology. They must be hiding some kind of super weapon." "Now wait just a minute," Hawthorne began, rising to his feet, but he was cut off by a new voice. "Perhaps," Dr. Xara interjected, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with calming patterns, "we are approaching this from the wrong angle." She knelt beside Mira, her large, empathetic eyes meeting the child's gaze. "Mira, can you tell us how this secret makes you feel?" Mira's face scrunched up in thought. "Sometimes it makes me feel special," she said slowly. "But other times, it's scary. Like there's something inside me that wants to come out, but I don't know how to let it." Dr. Xara's skin flashed with excitement. "Fascinating. It sounds as if the child may be manifesting some kind of latent ability. This could explain her unprecedented teleportation." Admiral Hawthorne shook his head in disbelief. "That's impossible. There's no history of anything like that in our family. That you know of," Zixnatha pointed out. "Many species have legends of hidden powers awakening in times of great need or change." As the adults debated, Mira began to fidget. Her fingers twirled her pigtails nervously, and she shifted from foot to foot. Suddenly, she let out a small gasp. "It's happening again," she cried out. All eyes turned to the child as a faint, shimmering aura began to surround her. It was barely visible at first, like heat waves rising from hot pavement, but it quickly intensified. Mira's eyes grew wide with a mixture of excitement and fear. "Uncle Jack," she called out, reaching for him. But as Hawthorne lunged forward to grab her, his hands passed right through her form. In a flash of brilliant light, Mira vanished. The council chamber erupted into chaos. Accusations flew as species blamed one another for the child's disappearance. Admiral Hawthorne roared for silence, his face a mask of anguish and fury. "Enough," Zixnatha's voice boomed over the din. "We must focus on finding the child. Dr. Xara, can you trace the energy signature of her translocation?" The Luminian scientist was already bent over a console, her fingers flying across the alien interface. "I'm detecting residual quantum fluctuations," she reported, "but they're unlike anything I've ever seen. It's as if she's everywhere and nowhere at once." As the aliens scrambled to make sense of the readings, a small, familiar voice echoed through the chamber. "Uncle Jack, Spider Lady, Glowy Doctor, where did everyone go?" Mira's voice seemed to come from everywhere at once, reverberating through the very walls of the station. Hawthorne spun in circles, trying to locate the source. "Mira, can you hear me? Where are you?" "I'm right here," came the reply, tinged with confusion. "But everything looks funny, all swirly and bright. Oh, there's the glowy thing again." Dr. Xara's console erupted with new data. "The energy patterns are stabilizing," she announced. "I think she's about to." Before she could finish her sentence, another flash lit up the chamber. Mira reappeared, but she wasn't alone. Clutched in her small hand was a pulsating, crystalline object about the size of a grapefruit. It hummed with an otherworldly energy, casting prismatic lights across the stunned faces of humans and aliens alike. "Look what I found," Mira exclaimed proudly, holding up the object. It was hiding in the swirly place. It told me it's been waiting a long time for someone to find it. Admiral Hawthorne rushed to embrace his niece, relief evident on his face, but his eyes never left the strange artifact she held. "Mira," he said carefully, "what do you mean it told you?" The little girl shrugged. "I heard it in my head. It has a nice voice." "Oh, it says it's happy to meet all of you too." The assembled leaders of the Galactic Council exchanged looks of astonishment and trepidation. Whatever this object was, it was clear that Mira's big surprise was far more significant than anyone could have imagined. Zixnatha stepped forward, her multiple eyes fixed on the glowing crystal. "It seems," he said gravely, "that young Mira has not only bridged the gap between our worlds, but has also made contact with something far beyond our current understanding of the universe." As the implications of this discovery began to sink in, Mira yawned widely, seemingly oblivious to the monumental shift in galactic politics she had just initiated. "I'm sleepy," she announced, "and hungry again. Do you have any more snacks?" The juxtaposition of the cosmic and the mundane hung in the air, a reminder that even in the face of universe-altering revelations, some things, like the needs of a child, remained constant. Admiral Hawthorne and High Arbiter Six Natha shared a look of mutual understanding. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, with an unexpected alliance forged by the innocent actions of one small human girl. The next few hours aboard the Galactic Council station were a whirlwind of activity. As Mira napped peacefully in a hastily prepared quarters, watched over by a mix of human and alien caretakers, the leaders of a dozen worlds grappled with the ramifications of her incredible discovery. Admiral Hawthorne paced the length of the conference room, his boots echoing on the metallic floor. "We need to get that artifact back to Earth immediately," he insisted. "Our scientists can study it in a controlled environment." Ambassador Krell's cybernetic eye wared as he fixed Hawthorne with a steely gaze. "Absolutely not," he growled. "The humans cannot be trusted with such power. The artifact must be placed under Galactic Council protection." High Arbiter Six Natha raised her front limbs for silence. "We must approach this situation with caution," she said. "This artifact, whatever it may be, has chosen to reveal itself through a human child. We cannot ignore the significance of that." Dr. Xara's skin pulsed with excited patterns as she manipulated a holographic display of the crystal's energy readings. "The artifact's power signature is unlike anything in our databases," she reported. "It appears to be able to manipulate space-time itself. In the wrong hands, it could be catastrophic." As the debate raged on, a soft chime indicated an incoming transmission. Zixnatha activated the communication panel, and a holographic image flickered to life in the center of the room. It was a human woman, her face a mirror image of Mira's, but older and etched with worry. "This is Dr. Samantha Rees," she said, her voice tight with tension. "I believe you have my daughter." Admiral Hawthorne stepped forward. "Sam, what in blazes is going on? How did Mira end up here, and what do you know about this artifact?" Dr. Rees took a deep breath. "It's a long story, Jack. One I had hoped I'd never have to tell." She looked around at the assembled aliens, her eyes widening slightly. "I see Mira's arrival has caused quite a stir." "That's putting it mildly," Hawthorne grumbled. "Start talking, Sam. We need answers." Over the next hour, Dr. Rees revealed a tale that left even the most seasoned Galactic Council members stunned. She spoke of a secret Earth organization dedicated to unlocking humanity's hidden potential, of experiments in psychic abilities and quantum manipulation. Mira, it turned out, was not just a random child who had stumbled upon an alien artifact. She was the culmination of generations of carefully guided human evolution. "We knew she was special," Dr. Rees explained, her voice thick with emotion. "But we had no idea of the true extent of her abilities. The artifact you found, we've only seen it in ancient texts and blurry photographs. We call it the Nexus Stone." Ambassador Krell slammed his cybernetic fist on the table. "This is an outrage. The humans have been conducting illegal genetic experiments, weaponizing their own children." "It wasn't like that," Dr. Rees protested. "We were trying to prepare humanity for the challenges we knew were coming. The universe is vast and often hostile. We needed to be ready." As accusations flew back and forth, a small voice cut through the chaos. "Mummy." All eyes turned to see Mira standing in the doorway, rubbing sleep from her eyes. The Nexus Stone floated serenely beside her, pulsing gently. Dr. Rees' holographic image flickered as she leaned forward. "Mira, sweetie, are you okay?" Mira nodded, then cocked her head to the side. "The shiny thing says it's time," she announced matter-of-factly. "Time for what?" Hawthorne asked, a note of dread in his voice. Before anyone could react, the Nexus Stone flared with blinding light. When the assembled leaders could see again, they gasped in collective shock. The conference room had vanished. In its place was a vast, star-filled void, with swirling nebulae and distant galaxies visible in every direction. "Where are we?" Zixnatha demanded, her multiple eyes darting about in confusion. Everywhere and nowhere came a voice that seemed to echo from the very fabric of space itself. It was ancient and powerful, yet somehow kind. "We have brought you here because a choice must be made." The voice seemed to emanate from the Nexus Stone, which now hovered at the center of their impossible gathering. Mira reached out and touched it gently, a smile of recognition on her face. "The child has awakened powers long dormant in her species," the voice continued. "She stands at a crossroads, as do all of you. The future of this galaxy, perhaps of all galaxies, hangs in the balance." Admiral Hawthorne stepped protectively in front of Mira. "What do you mean? What choice?" The void around them shimmered, and suddenly they were surrounded by visions of possible futures. In one, they saw a peaceful galaxy, with species working together in harmony. In another, war and destruction raged across the stars. "The power of the Nexus Stone can reshape reality itself," the voice explained. "But it requires a pure heart and a balanced mind to wield it safely. Young Mira has the potential, but she is not yet ready. The question is, can you put aside your differences and guide her on this path, or will your fears and ambitions lead you to conflict?" The assembled leaders looked at each other, then at Mira, who stood calmly amidst the swirling visions of possible futures. The weight of the decision before them was palpable. As the fate of galaxies hung in the balance, Mira tugged gently on Zixnatha's robe. The High Arbiter looked down at the small human child, surprised to see a wisdom beyond her years in those young eyes. "It's okay to be scared," Mira said softly. "But we can do it if we work together. That's what the shiny thing told me." In that moment, faced with the innocence and potential of a child who held the power to reshape reality, the leaders of the galaxy realized that their next decision would echo across the cosmos for eons to come. The Nexus Stone pulsed, awaiting their choice. The cosmic void shimmered around them, a silent reminder of the monumental choice they faced. Admiral Hawthorne was the first to break the stunned silence. This is too much," he said, his voice hoarse. "How can we possibly make a decision that affects the entire galaxy? We're not ready for this kind of power." High Arbiter Zixnatha's multiple eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of deep contemplation. "Perhaps that is precisely why we must make this decision," she said slowly. "Our very uncertainty may be our greatest strength." Mira, still holding on to Zixnatha's robe, looked up at the assembled leaders. "The shiny thing, the Nexus Stone, it says we don't have to decide everything right now. We just have to decide to try." Dr. Axara's bioluminescent skin pulsed with rapid patterns of thought. "The child speaks wisdom beyond her years," she mused. "Perhaps the true test is not in wielding the power, but in choosing how to approach it." Ambassador Krell, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, finally spoke. "And what if we choose wrong? The risks are too great. We should destroy the artifact and be done with it." "No," Mira cried out, her small voice echoing through the cosmic void. "You can't hurt it. It's alive, like us. It wants to help." As if in response to her words, the Nexus Stone pulsed brightly, and the swirling visions of possible futures coalesced into a single vivid scene. The leaders saw themselves, human, arachnoid, cybernetic, and bioluminescent, standing together on a lush alien world. In this vision, Mira was older, a young woman now, her hands glowing with the same energy as the Nexus Stone. Around them, representatives from 1,000 worlds watched in awe as new life took root on a once barren planet. Is this what could be?" Admiral Hawthorne asked, his voice filled with wonder. The ancient voice of the Nexus Stone resonated through their minds. "One possibility among many. The path to this future is long and fraught with challenges, but it begins with a choice to work together, to guide and protect, to learn and grow." Dr. Ree's holographic image flickered, tears streaming down her face. "Mira, sweetie, I'm so sorry. I never meant for you to bear this burden." Mira smiled at her mother, a smile that seemed to hold the wisdom of ages. "It's okay, Mommy. I'm not alone. We're all in this together now." High Arbiter Sixnatha stepped forward, her imposing form somehow softened by the moment. "The child is right. We cannot run from this responsibility, nor can we selfishly claim it for our own species. If we are to face this challenge, we must do so united." One by one, the leaders nodded in agreement. Even Ambassador Krell, his cybernetic parts whirring with reluctant acceptance, gave a curt nod. Admiral Hawthorne knelt beside Mira, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "What do you think, kiddo? Are you ready for an adventure bigger than anything we could have imagined?" Mira's eyes sparkled with excitement. "As long as there are snacks, I'm ready for anything, Uncle Jack." A ripple of laughter broke the tension, a moment of levity amidst the weight of their cosmic decision. The Nexus Stone pulsed once more, and suddenly they found themselves back in the Galactic Council chamber, the familiar surroundings a stark contrast to the cosmic vista they had just witnessed. High Arbiter Sixnatha wasted no time. "We must form a new coalition," she declared, "a group dedicated to understanding the Nexus Stone and preparing Mira for her role in shaping our collective future." "The Cosmic Concordat," Dr. Xara suggested, her skin glowing with inspiration. "A union of science, diplomacy, and guardianship." As the leaders began to hash out the details of their unprecedented alliance, Mira yawned widely. The events of the day, dimensional jumps, cosmic revelations, and all had finally caught up with her. Admiral Hawthorne scooped her up in his arms. "I think it's past someone's bedtime," he said softly. "We can save reshaping the galaxy for tomorrow." As he carried Mira out of the chamber, the little girl's drowsy voice floated back to the assembled aliens. "Don't forget, we need a snack budget for our new club." The leaders of the galaxy, tasked with guiding the destiny of countless worlds, couldn't help but smile. In the face of unimaginable power and responsibility, it was a child's simple request that reminded them of the humanity, in all its forms, that they were striving to protect. As the newly formed Cosmic Concordat began its work, the Nexus Stone hummed contentedly, nestled safely in a specially designed containment field. The first step had been taken on a journey that would span stars and generations. And it had all begun because a little girl got hungry and made some very unexpected friends. Years passed, and the galaxy watched with bated breath as the Cosmic Concordat grew from a hastily formed alliance into a beacon of interstellar cooperation. The Galactic Council space station, once a place of tense negotiations and political maneuvering, had been transformed into a hub of learning and discovery. At the heart of it all was Mira, no longer the small child who had accidentally teleported into the council chamber, but a young teenager on the cusp of adulthood. Her growth, both physical and in terms of her extraordinary abilities, had been carefully monitored and nurtured by the diverse team of scientists, diplomats, and mentors that made up the Concordat. On this particular day, the station buzzed with excitement. It was the 10th anniversary of the formation of the Cosmic Concordat, and representatives from across the galaxy had gathered to witness a historic event. Admiral Hawthorne, his hair now more grey than brown, stood proudly at the entrance to the main auditorium. "Ready for your big moment, kiddo?" he asked as Mira approached, flanked by her mother and an entourage of alien advisors. Mira grinned, a flash of her childhood exuberance shining through the poise she had developed over the years. "As ready as I'll ever be, Uncle Jack. Though I still think we should have gone with my idea for a galaxy-wide pizza party instead." Dr. Rees laughed, squeezing her daughter's hand. "Maybe for the 20th anniversary, sweetheart." As they entered the auditorium, a hush fell over the assembled crowd. Beings of all shapes, sizes, and species turned to watch as Mira made her way to the central stage. The Nexus Stone, no longer contained, but floating serenely beside her, pulsed with a warm, welcoming light. High Arbiter Zixnatha, her exoskeleton now adorned with the intricate markings of a decade's worth of diplomatic achievements, stepped forward to address the gathering. 10 years ago, she began, her voice carrying easily through the vastness of the chamber, we stood at a crossroads. Faced with power beyond our comprehension and a responsibility greater than any single species could bear, we chose unity over division, hope over fear. As Zixnatha spoke, holographic displays flickered to life around the auditorium, showing scenes from the past decade. There were images of joint scientific expeditions, cultural exchanges, and humanitarian missions to worlds ravaged by natural disasters. In each scene, members of the Cosmic Concordat worked side by side, their differences forgotten in pursuit of a greater good. Today, Zixnatha continued, we take another step forward on this unprecedented journey. Mira, if you would. All eyes turned to the young woman as she stepped up to the podium. Gone was the little girl in pigtails and a yellow sundress. In her place stood a poised young woman, her eyes bright with intelligence and compassion. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of wisdom far beyond her years. Thank you all for being here, Mira began. When I first arrived in that council chamber, hungry and confused, I could never have imagined where that journey would lead us. The Nexus Stone chose me, yes, but its power, our power, belongs to all of us. With a gesture, Mira caused the Nexus Stone to rise higher, its glow intensifying. Today, we're going to do something that's never been done before. We're going to use the stone's power not to reshape a planet or alter the course of a star, but to forge a connection, a bond between all sentient beings in our galaxy. A murmur of excitement and nervous anticipation rippled through the crowd. This was the moment they had all been waiting for, the culmination of years of preparation and trust-building. Mira closed her eyes, her face a mask of concentration. The Nexus Stone began to spin faster and faster until it was a blur of light. Suddenly, every being in the auditorium gasped as they felt a warm, comforting presence in their minds. For a brief, beautiful moment, the thoughts and feelings of every sentient being in the galaxy were connected. Waves of emotion washed over the assembled crowd. Joy, fear, hope, curiosity, love. A symphony of consciousness that transcended language and physical form. As quickly as it had begun, the connection faded, leaving behind a profound sense of unity and understanding. Beings who had once seen each other as alien and unknowable now shared a bond deeper than any treaty could forge. Mira opened her eyes, a tired but triumphant smile on her face. That, she said softly, is who we are. Not humans or Vorax or Luminians or any other single species, but a tapestry of life, each thread essential to the whole. The auditorium erupted in cheers, applause, and various other species-specific expressions of joy and approval. As Mira was engulfed in a group hug by her family and closest alien friends, Admiral Hawthorne couldn't help but marvel at how far they had come. You know, he said to no one in particular, I think the galaxy might just be in good hands after all. As the celebration continued long into the night, with food and drink from 100 worlds being shared freely, the Nexus Stone hummed contentedly. Its long wait was over. The seeds of a new era of galactic cooperation and understanding had been planted, nurtured by the innocence of a child and the collective wisdom of countless civilizations. And somewhere in the vastness of space, ancient beings who had set this plan in motion eons ago nodded in satisfaction. The experiment had been a success. The young races had taken their first tentative steps towards a destiny greater than any of them could imagine. The true journey, they knew, was just beginning.